Look at this, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome back to Disneyland. It's the Sometimes Vlog. It's a vlog that happens sometimes near flying elephants who are being watched over by Timothy Mouse, who has a whip in his hand. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Disneyland. What a wonderful but blisteringly hot day we are having today. Yesterday it was 100 degrees in Anaheim, California at the original Disneyland here. But today, even though it's only 87 degrees by the thermometer, it feels way hotter because the air is dead still. Only these people are getting a rush of air. And look, you can see they're all up there at a high elevation, just hoping to cool down a little bit, looking lovingly on the slopes of our beloved Matterhorn Mountain here, where the snow never melts and the yodeling never ceases. That is something you will never see in another Disney park. Now, of course, I was at Disney World recently for a while, fighting with the wind and crazy weather out there. Very different weather than we're having here, where it's still dry and hot, 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 hot. Not a breath of wind to be had. Of course, I'm in Florida, where normally I have, other than the heat and humidity, we have pretty good weather out there. Usually I've had good luck anyways with the filming and stuff. Last time I was out there, it was just so windy, I couldn't even vlog or do anything. It was crazy. And now I'm back home, not thinking about, filming or doing anything, just chilling. And the wind is pretty much dead still. Pretty crazy. Anyway, look at that. You will never see that in another Disney park, the Matterhorn Mountain. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't it majestic? It's a little bumpy these days. But I wish there was even more mountains there, because it just adds something to Fantasyland. The miniature scale of Fantasyland. Look at Toad Hall back there. Just looks so amazing with the Matterhorn Mountain rising behind it. Look at this. Isn't this wonderful? Anyway, I'm back home here in Anaheim, enjoying being alive. If you missed it on Valentine's Day, I posted a vlog about something that happened Valentine's Day weekend, where Allie and I got in a very, very close call, a near miss with death. And what's weird is you can choke on a pretzel or, trip down the stairs and go, oh, I almost died. And it's probably 100,000 times a day that we as human beings almost die, and no day is guaranteed. And, we could always eat the poison Pop-Tart, or something could go wrong. But every once in a while, there's some close call that really, really hits you and makes you stop and think and appreciate life. And that's sort of what the other day was, a stop and appreciate life kind of moment. So the vlog had a couple of pauses there, but I'm back to work, I'm back to business. Look at these 60th anniversary balloons. Aren't these cool? Look at this, all the characters on there, the Mickey ears inside, the genie, the hitchhiking ghosts, and there's even an X-Wing right there I did not notice until very recently. Anyways, I'm back to just appreciating this. Look at this. Look at beautiful Fantasyland. I'm going to be in Disneyland Paris very soon, and what's weird is Disneyland Paris has Snow White and Pinocchio on this side of their castle, almost identical looking in that part of their Fantasyland, but this part looks completely different. Now, if you notice something strange here at Disneyland, it'll be this. A bunch of signs. There's a bunch of signs everywhere. To visit Frontierland, please enter through Sleeping Beauty Castle via Main Street. There are a whole bunch of signs like this because Big Thunder Trail is unavailable. Now, if you're familiar with the layout of Disneyland at all, you know it's kind of a big circle. What you have is Main Street USA, the castle in the middle of the hub, the central area, the hub of the wheel there, and all the spokes leading out to the various lands, up to Fantasyland, sideways to Adventureland, Tomorrowland, and all that. But around the outside, we have all these trails and walkways that connect the lands, sort of on the outside of the wheel. And one of those trails, the trail from Fantasyland over to Frontierland, is called Big Thunder Trail because it passes behind Big Thunder Mountain. That is and has been for a while closed, and it will be for a while, presumably closed, because that trail there, you see Big Thunder going in the background. That trail there, Big Thunder Trail, leads past where they are building Star Wars Land. Now, we have no idea, I think it's open-ended when Star Wars Land is going to open at this time. We have no idea when Star Wars Land is going to open, so we have no idea how long that construction will take. But the trail is currently closed, at least so they can probably put some partitions up to separate our peepers from the construction. We have to take the long way around. Look at that, that's crazy. You don't see that much at Walt Disney World because they have tunnels underneath the streets of Fantasyland to move trash cans around. And that's one of the reasons they did that over there, so you don't have to hear that noise. But anyway, I'm getting completely distracted now. While that construction is going on, Big Thunder Trail is closed until they add some kind of partition or something. I'm hoping it reopens soon. But until that time, there's kind of a huge pie slice of Disneyland you cannot walk through. And so all traffic has to go through the castle here from Fantasyland or that way towards the Matterhorn. The thing is that way towards the Matterhorn is the parade route. So when a parade is going on and the fireworks are going on, so the front of the castle is closed, you really have a lot of bottlenecks here. So it's a good thing that this is mostly happening in the slow season. All right, let's take a look at Fantasyland. There's some gentlemen trying to pull the sword from the stone. I actually saw them do this at Walt Disney World last time I was there. I knew they still did it there from time to time, but I never actually witnessed it. I couldn't pull my phone or my camera out fast enough to see it, but some kids actually pulled the sword up, and some heralds came and announced that they were, I think, king of the moment or prince for the day or something like that. Gave them a sticker. I wasn't close enough to hear or film, but it was pretty cool. I'm pretty sure it used to be that you were crowned king of the moment, but later a cast member gave me a sticker that said prince for a day, so I don't know if those two things are related. I'm not sure. I have to delve more into the mystery, but we used to do that here. We used to have Merlin come out and we'd have king of the moment here, or the prince of Disneyland or princess or whatever it would be. The right ruler of England would be here pulling the sword from the stone. Pretty cool show. Obviously though, our Fantasyland a little more cramped behind the castle than other people's Fantasylands, and that show created quite a bottleneck. And as Disneyland has gotten more and more popular, the population of Southern California has grown, the population of annual pass holders has grown, the population of park visitors has grown. They decided to use the budget for that show for shows that more people can enjoy all at once. Because if you think about it, only one kid gets picked per day, or a few kids at most per day could get picked for something like that. I don't know. It's something I hope does return though one day. Maybe if things calm down or they figure out a way to do it. It would be pretty great if that happened more. Look at that, the fairy godmother's over there signing autographs next to the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. How cool is that? I'm so excited about Disneyland. All right, now through the castle and on to the hub. Well, actually, I wanted to go through the castle to the hub, but as soon as I got in the shade here under the castle, now I'm feeling like I want to be like these fine people, going full Disney and retreating from the heat. Look at this. The castle is turning into the only shady area in Fantasyland. People are all flocking and fleeing to the shade. It feels so good. As soon as I stepped in the shade, I think I cooled off by quite a bit. I can feel the heat lines radiating off my clothing. Okay, fine. We'll go through this beloved, beautiful Sleeping Beauty Castle, the original Walt Disney Sleeping Beauty Castle, out into the hub. Now, I might not be in the park very much for the next week or two, and the reason why, at least in vlog form, the reason why is because not only would I like to vlog away from some Disney parks, I love Disney parks, I love being in Disney parks, and as you guys know, I've been traveling to a lot of them. In 2016 so far, I've been in Paris, I've been in Walt Disney World, I've been here in, well, have I been in Paris? No, that was in December, but I'm going to be Disney World here and Paris all within the first 3 months of the year. I'm going to be in all 8 Disney parks in the, you know, Western world. So I think before I leave for Paris March 1st, I would like to go out and experience things that are not as Disney, you know, in the coming weeks. That's as delicately as, like, I'm kind of sort of fumbling and stumbling over my words there because I'm trying to put it as delicately as possible. Some fanboys and people will be like, what do you mean? Are you saying you're tired and sick of Disney? No, absolutely not. Of course not. I love the parks, but I gotta tell you, my knees and my legs and my feet are getting pretty dang sore from all the theme park walking around that I've been doing. I was gonna go renew my Knott's Berry Farm pass this week. Look at that, look at Snow White's wishing well over there and that beautiful grotto and fountain over there, the Heart Bridge. Gosh, I love this place. Anyway, I was gonna go renew my Knott's pass, but I'm so sore. And I've been to so many theme parks lately, I might just wait. Hello, how's it going? I might just wait for a little while until I've rested just a little bit. So because I'm going to Paris from March 1st till I think I fly back on the 18th back to LAX, because of that, I think I might be roaming around a few other areas. And that's why I wanted to take a really good look at my beloved Disneyland. I gotta be honest with you. This weekend I was getting a little cranky. It was quite crowded out here. Valentine's Day and President's Day were combining forces to just make it packed in the park. It was really warm and I was getting kind of cranky and just burnt out on crowds, burnt out on being in crowds and dodging people and all that kind of stuff. And then there was the near miss where I was almost in the car accident, and my crankiness sort of hit a peak where I was like, man, I was so frustrated, you know. And last night I had a long walk around here when there were really no people. So it was Monday night, the end of the holiday, everyone was going back to work, no one was in the park. I walked around, I did a vlog which I did not upload, 20 or 30 minute vlog I just realized when I was done with it that I just sounded so tired of the place, and I really, really, really want to always look at this place with fresh eyes. Like I always want to look at this place with excitement in my eyes, with excitement in my heart, and be really excited about all the little details and all the wonderful things that make this place so magical. And by the way, when I was here last night, all the third shift people were coming in really early, or it seemed like they were coming in early, like all the maintenance workers and all the mechanics and the people in the mechanical uniforms were coming into the park, getting ready for their shift overnight. And I kind of want to just take a side note, a sidetrack, a digression. I want to digress here and say, huge shout out to all those people who come here in the middle of the night and even during the day that we never ever see, who do so much to make the magic possible for all these millions of people from all over the world. I just met somebody from Hawaii, I meet people from England, New Zealand, Australia, all the time here in the park, who not only know my videos, but of course they're all Disney fans. We get together and we talk about Disneyland, we buy cool shirts like this, we trade pins, we swap stories. And all of that is possible because of those people who come in and work really hard painting things like this, cleaning things like this, planting beautiful plants like this. Let's take another little moment to talk about something completely unrelated. I'm so scatterbrained, I'm so ADD, I like to talk about a million different things. Look at these flowers here. Now, only a month and a half or so ago, there were Christmas trees planted in here and all kinds of Christmas lights and things. Look at this now. Springtime is coming, and look at how beautiful Disneyland's horticulture. My mom is actually a certified, graduated from college horticulturalist, so you'd think this would come out of my mouth easier. Look at the horticulture department's fine work here. Look at this. You don't even think about the plants at Disneyland. You don't even think about all the baskets of flowers up and down Main Street, USA. These have to be tended by people, replaced, planted, watered, grown. The statue of Goofy has to be polished here, mostly by people's fingers on your nose. Hi, Goofy. I love you. Look at this. Isn't it beautiful? Well, have you ever had a guest, look at, that's cute. She's getting a fun one. She's getting a fun picture. Have you ever had a guest come over to your house, like your grandma's coming over, or you have a girlfriend who's coming over, or a mom or a boss or something, you're gonna have a dinner, you're gonna have a party, and you like put out fresh flowers, and you stir up the potpourri, and you Windex everything, and you clean up, and it's like, man, what a big deal, but it's worth it. You're doing the whole spring cleaning, house cleaning, because you know you're gonna have a party and all these guests. Disneyland has to do that. Every night, every day, this place has to be cleaned up and refreshed because they have very important guests coming every day. And I'm not talking about Johnny Depp, I'm talking about you and me. And I, for one, really, really appreciate it. And I really want to stay appreciating it. So that's why I'm gonna just start roaming around a few other places this week, because I realize if I don't, I'm gonna go from being at Disneyland all the time with my friends and with Allie when she's in town. I always end up at the parks every day. I would go from being to Disneyland to Disney World every day to Disneyland again every day to Paris. So I'm going to be wandering around some other places. All right, like I was saying before, we would have been able, to go into Fantasyland over here and walk around the back of Disneyland over to Frontierland behind Big Thunder Trail. But as it is, no, we have to come through the castle and then all the way around the hub and then through the entrance to Frontierland, the front way. So it's pretty crazy. You can imagine when there's parades over there and all kinds of crowds lined up here for fireworks, though, the only entrance in or out through that castle, through Frontierland here, and then a while ago, Adventureland's entrance was undergoing a refurbishment. So this was the only entrance to this entire half of the park. It can get a little extreme and crowded over here. It's pretty crazy. Think about this. Disneyland is a 365-day production. It's like a Broadway show that never ends. Sometimes they have days with short hours and the park will open at like 10 and close at 8 p.m. I think that's the earliest I've ever seen it close without there being like a Mickey's Halloween party or something else where the public will be involved. So sometimes they'll have early hours where they can do extra refurbishments and things, but for the most part, if you think about it, Disneyland is a show that is constantly going all the time. You really don't have time to pull things out of the show in a big way. So that's why in the off season, the slow season, and this, by the way, is the slow season, they have to do as many attraction refurbishments as possible right after the holidays, right after New Year's. That can be frustrating for some people who come and go, oh man, I really wanted to ride Splash Mountain and it's down. I really wanted to ride the Mark Twain and it's down. They're constructing Star Wars Land, blah, 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 blah. But if you think about it, they have to do it. And I personally think they do a pretty amazing job of fixing the show as the show is still going. Like you don't go to a play and see them painting the mountains on the backdrop while the play is going. And really at Disneyland, for the most part, unless you're looking for it, I don't think you really see that here either. I don't think you see all the construction and the upgrading and the refurbishment that's going on during the day. Other than a few closures, 5 minutes of frustration out of your day, they do a pretty amazing job of seamlessly keeping this place refreshed and new and very, very clean. Look at the ground here. Now the ground on any city street is not this clean. How do they do that with millions and millions of people here? How do they do it? You can almost eat off that ground. It's amazing. It's amazing. Here's one of those things I was talking about. They're doing refurbishment and completely changing the backside of Rivers of America back there while they construct Star Wars Land. They're shaving off a piece of Rivers of America and rerouting the train tracks. And while they do it, they've managed to dam up the Rivers of America in the front, keep the water in here so far. And even though, hey, what's up? I know that guy. I know that guy up there. Even though they can't run the Mark Twain Riverboat or the Columbia over here, they have managed to turn the Mark Twain over here into a maritime museum, much like that vlog I did on the Columbia a little while ago, and let guests and visitors still come up to it. How you doing? This is the guy, Dylan, over here with the red hair. He's the son of Conan O'Brien. What's funny is I did another vlog over here with this in the background, and you could see him waving in the background, and this is the second time that's happened. I'm having really weird deja vu. Anyways, there you go. They have managed to, while they are doing refurbishment, while they are upgrading the place, plussing the park, as the Imagineers say. Ooh, look at this. Hello.
Would you like to meet Dr. Facilier? He'll be right over there.
Dr. Facilier?
You bet.
Kind of. I would love to take a fun pic, but do you think he'll use any voodoo on me? I'm a little nervous about that. I don't know.
Well,
I don't like to
see
mess.
all those ducks in the water?
Yes.
They used to be people.
They used to be people. They used to be people. Well, that's okay. I'll let the doctor get on about his business. I'll meet him later. Look at that. See, they have Princess and the Frog meet and greets going on the Mark Twain while the refurbishment is happening. Did she say those ducks used to be people? Did you used to be a people? She used to be a fine. Look at. She doesn't even speak duck. She can't speak English anymore. She can't speak duck. Voodoo at Disneyland. Voodoo! And it must be voodoo because look at the way, like I was saying, they keep this show going even while they're under refurbishment. Look at this crowd. This is crazy. Now, Saturday crowds are always a little bit bigger than this, but I was talking to my friends yesterday, one of whom hasn't lived here all that long, and I was saying that a few years ago, 2013, 2014 with my annual pass, when you came on an average day, this was kind of a crowded day over here. And now this is like a normal, not crowded, lightly crowded day here at Disneyland. It's pretty crazy how popular Disneyland's been for the 60th anniversary. And kind of awesome if you think about it, because it gives them the budget to do all these crazy things over here and to do all these refurbishments and keep the place I love clean and alive. There were years in the 90s and the late 80s where Disneyland was not so clean, it was not so nice. There was even a while where my parents refused to come because they were like, oh, it's crowded and dirty and they don't take care of the place. And I don't want to name names of executives or things, but they call them the such and such years and the so and so years. And then Disneyland came along and sort of renewed Walt's vision for a perfectly clean, utopian park, a place where families can go. It's clean and wonderful. I just love this place. I'm totally rambling now. I was going to try to make it all the way over there to the train station to show you another one of those things that they do to keep guests happy while things go under refurbishment, because of course Disneyland Railroad isn't running either while they move its tracks around the back of Rivers of America. And now I think I'm gonna do that by doing something I don't normally do and time jumping with an edit right here. Oh, thank God for the shade, the wonderful, beautiful shade in front of the Haunted Mansion. Look at this, I'm so happy to be back at home looking at the original Haunted Mansion facade over here, based more on a Southern plantation design than, of course, Walt Disney World's Haunted Mansion. Although, I'm actually starting to love both. At first, when I would go to Disney World, I'd be like, oh, what the heck is this weird, fake Disney? This isn't a real Disney. Now I love both. I now see that they're not in competition. But I gotta say, when I come back here, there's a little twinge of nostalgia. Like, look at this. I remember being terrified of this ride and hating it, going on with my dad and him saying there's nothing scary in there. And then that suit of armor moving and being like, oh, you're a liar, Dad. It is so scary. You're not afraid, right? No, I'm totally not afraid, Dad. I'm super brave like you. I was not super brave. That mansion terrified me. That candlestick moving at the end of the hallway. Sometimes still I picture it rushing forward at me, trying to get me. I think of ghosts and ghoulies and things in there coming after me. It doesn't scare me now, though. Seriously, it doesn't scare me. Okay, now next to the Haunted Mansion, behind the Haunted Mansion is this. New Orleans Square, Frontier/Frontierland Railroad Station. We used to have a Frontierland Railroad Station at Disneyland, but then quickly when New Orleans Square was built, it was moved out of the way and replaced with the New Orleans Square Railroad Station. This is really exit only, but I just wanted this angle on this beautiful train over here. The Disneyland Railroad's E.P. Ripley. By the way, the edit, I don't usually do that. I don't usually time hop myself through that crowd over there, but I could see people on the fringes of my peripheral vision who wanted to talk to me, and so normally I like to keep them as unedited as possible. I'll walk around and think of all the things I want to say first, and I'll spend all this time making sure that we can just go for it. But as the crowd's thickening and as more and more people come on the edges and I can see they don't want to interrupt me but they want to talk to me, this might start happening more and more. And normally I wouldn't try to crowd so many things into one vlog, but like I said, I'm not going to be at Disneyland much lately. So here's all these people looking for the train and still blowing the whistle of the Mark Twain. I love that sound. It makes me think I'm going to see it coming around the bend of the river. I am not. It's still docked there. Just like the locomotives of the Disneyland Railroad, docked, not moving, not traveling around the tracks, but parked here for us all to enjoy. Look at this, the E.P. Ripley, built at Walt Disney Studios in 1954 / well, the plaque over here says 1955, WED Locomotives Works, Walter Elias Disney Locomotive Works, WED. Look at that, Roger Broggie, General Manager, Walt Disney, President. They built a freaking steam locomotive. They have other locomotives which they rescued from old sugarcane plantations and actually refurbished for use at Disneyland when they opened the park. But this one was built by Walt Disney and his team of WED future Imagineers. Imagineering used to be called WED, Walter Elias Disney. He needed a separate company to build his theme park, separate from his studio. But they built this train, the E.P. Ripley, at the studio. We have a movie studio. We make cartoons and feature films, and now we're gonna make a freaking steam locomotive because we can. That is the coolest thing ever, ever, ever. E.P. Ripley, named for a former president of the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railroad, I think, right? There's also a park in Walt Disney's boyhood hometown of Marceline, Missouri called the E.P. Ripley Park because it was a railroad town there. I don't think the two are related, though. The train and the park, I think, are unrelated. I think this train actually was going to have a different name when the park opened, but they changed it to the E.P. Ripley because they found out that a grandson of the man E.P. Ripley was actually going to be at opening day of Disneyland, and the Santa Fe Railroad was one of the original sponsors. Speaking of Frontierland Station, this is it. You'll notice we crossed the railroad tracks here. You are normally never, oh, look at this. They're getting a fun one. They're getting a fun pic over here. You are normally never allowed to cross those railroad tracks, but because the Disneyland Railroad dead ends after that tunnel here, because it is not operating during construction of Star Wars Land, we are able to cross the tracks and visit the old, how's it going, guys? Frontierland Railroad Station. Poor cast members always have to see people like me wandering around talking about things and like, hey, look at this guy at our railroad station. He doesn't know. Yeah, normally you're never allowed to cross over here and look at this, but we can actually come and touch it on opening day, 1955, in the early days of the park when Frontierland had its own railroad station. This was it. This was the building, loosely based off the railroad station from So Dear to My Heart, I believe, the Disney movie, which that railroad station actually ended up at an Imagineer's backyard railroad. Do you know which one? If you know which one, leave it in the comment. But right here, Frontierland Railroad Station just moved across the tracks. They built that different platform for New Orleans Square's railroad station, and they reused this. And that, of course, that annoying clicking sound that you hear is that famous Disneyland secret, the telegraph office, tapping out in Morse code, some of the first lines of Walt Disney's opening day Disneyland speech, which I believe the story goes that later a guy who was proficient in Morse code, a Morse code operator, actually visited the park, heard that and went, yeah, but it's actually wrong, corrected Disneyland, and they actually went through the trouble of changing the clicking to be more accurate. Look at all this. New Orleans Square Station. Look at all these details here. You normally never get an up-close look at this station. I have been up close to this station before. One other time, when Disneyland did Villains Day a long time ago, they did a dance party over here, and they built a dance platform on the tracks here. They had DJs up here on this platform. That was the first and only time I was able to come and look at this station. This, by the way, this thing everyone's looking at, thinking that that's making noise, is actually doing nothing. Look at this, a stove all crated up and being ready to be delivered. Look at the scale over here. It's actually working. That's really weird. Okay, there's a Disneyland detail I don't think anyone's ever noticed, especially not me. This scale that's been sitting over here for God knows how long with this stove on it, ready to be delivered, still works. My mind is blown. Now, most of the time, people are waiting for a railroad train. A railroad train? The heat is affecting my brain. Most people are waiting for a train over there, never get to come over here. No one would ever know that if you push this down, it still works. Do they grease that thing? Do they keep that thing going? I gotta get away from the clicking. I love Walt's speech, but I gotta get away from the clicking. Anyways, look at this. Another example of Disney not only being cool to us guests and giving us something to look at and something to do with the beloved trains while they can't circle the park, but also giving all these cast members and engineers something to do by talking to people like us and explaining the history of the railroad, letting us take fun pics in front of their trains, and mostly staring at me while I carry around this little box with all of you inside of it, wondering whether or not I'm crazy. They don't know you're in there. They don't know, but they're starting to suspect something. Anyways, I thought you guys would enjoy that look at the Disneyland Railroad's current situation. I'm cramming a lot of things in one vlog, and I'm kind of going through them at lightning speed and not giving you long, loving looks. There's a long, loving look there at the EP Ripley. And of course, you have that Kalamazoo Manufacturing Company thing. What are those things called? The thing with the thing? You know what I'm talking about? That thing right there. There's pictures of Walt using that thing at the park. Like Walt Disney actually sat on that thing and pumped it up and down the track. What is that called? I really want to know what that's called. And one of these cast members will definitely know, and I definitely am going to ask them just as soon as I end the vlog. Because some cast members, surprisingly, do not like being in the vlog, so I'll just wait until afterwards. Anyway, I know there's a lot of things crammed in here in quick succession. I know my brain is kind of flighty. I'm getting back to normal after all that traveling and all that nearly dying, and I'm just grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for all of you. Please visit livefastdiepoor.spreadshirt.com, patreon.com/JustinScott if you'd like to help me go further afield, because I am going to go further. I'm going to go further by going farther afield away from my home at Disneyland here and have adventures in other countries, other states. There's a lot coming up in 2016, but I wanted to share a little piece of my day at Disneyland with all of you. It's a little warm. I hope it's a little cooler where you are, but not too cold. I hope it's perfect room temperature for you. I love you all. I will see you all a little later. Bye-bye.